Hey, what's up guys, Chris Connor here and welcome to another Creatrix tutorial. Today we're going to have an in-depth look on how you can create advanced eye visual effects and specifically from the fantasy genre. Let's take a look at the clip. Now, I'm not sure about you guys, but personally I think they look pretty sick. I've been experimenting with eye visual effects for a long time now, and it has taken me a while to find this technique. What's cool about this is that it actually uses your clip together with tracking and advanced masking and colorization techniques to achieve this. This means that as long as your camera is able to capture your actor's eyes in detail, then you'll be able to pull off this effect easy. With that said, fire up After Effects and let's get started. Now, the first thing I do always is set up my project. So I'll go here, click this thing, and I will change the bits to 32 or 16, and I'll set this one here and click linearize. Now, if you want to know why I did these things, then I'll have a link in the description on a tutorial I did about project settings and ultimate render settings. Okay, cool. So now I'll go to my folder and I will bring in my files. Drag and drop. Cool. For the record, make sure you stick till the end of the video because I will show you a concept art I've been working on, which I know many of you have been excited about. Now, I will select my clip and drag it into a new composition. Awesome. Let's put this one on full because we want the maximum detail. Now, if I scroll, you can see that this clip is very good to work on because the detail is great. We can see the eyes, even the veins, the color scheme is great, etc. If you're wondering, I shot this in front of a green screen and I just removed the blacks and I also applied an HDR and sharpening layer. And then I rendered out to help the PC because recording and editing at the same time, it's a bit of a pain. With that said, if you want to know how I did these things, I had a tutorial on color grading which has gotten a lot of praise, so thank you for that. So I'll have the link in the description. I highly suggest you go watch it if you haven't, but do this after this one or before this one. Either way is fine, I think. So cool. Now, eye visual effects. What's one of the most important things when doing eye visual effects is tracking. Having a perfect track always helps. Now, the way I do this is a bit different from what I've seen online. I always track the iris of the eye and not this section right here. Why I do this is because when you move your eye, you don't move all this, right? The iris moves individually from this area. So that's why, even if you're close up in the camera, like in this case, or far away, always track the iris because that's where most of the effects are applied to. So if I look on the right or on the left, then the mask and the effects will follow the iris. So let's see how we're going to do this. I'll select my clip, right click, track motion. Cool. I will zoom in here and I will find a high contrast spot to track. This one will do just fine. I will adjust my search section. Looks cool. Now, usually you would go to the first frame to track, but I'm just going to start from here and go back and then forward. So I will track backwards. I will stop right here because I'm about to close my eyes, so look what happens. I'll go frame by frame. See, it lost it. Now, anytime that your track loses your eye, you simply have to zoom in, select it, and bring it back to where your original selection was. Right there, see? go one frame back, do the same thing. And don't be afraid, because usually it would lose it when you blink or when you move a lot in the frame. And because you move so much, when you actually play it back with the effects and you have applied a bit of motion blur, it will look just great. So one more step, bring it back, and one more, and that's done. Now, I don't care about tracking the thing before this point, because I will have my eyes closed, and since we are applying eye visual effects, I don't really care what happens when my eyes are closed. So I will go back. I know where the tracking began because you can see this green line, and I will track forward. Now we'll stop right here, right before it ends, because if I remember correctly, I blink again. So frame by frame, there we go, one more, bring it back, and that's it. It's pretty much done. So I will go to Layer, New, Null Object, Edit Target, Null 1. If you have more nulls or even more layers, it would usually go to the one above your clip, so always make sure you have the right null selected. Press OK, apply. Cool. So now we have an object, which is our null in this case, and it perfectly follows the iris. Now, of course, in this case, I don't move around a lot, but even if I did, it would do a pretty good job, so trust me, this is the best way to track eyes. With that said, I will rename my null object to iris. Press enter. Cool. And just for presentation purposes, I will show you something. This track will do just fine, even if I want to apply effects in the white section of the eye. But if I were to look on the right or on the left during the video, I would have to track this section if I wanted to apply effects on the white area. And because we will do that, I will just track it again just to show you how it's done. So I will click again, track motion, zoom in here, find this area, and let's track forward for this one. Go frame by frame. It's doing a good job, almost. Okay, I'll go back now. Right there. And track backwards. Come on. Good stop. Go frame by frame. Perfect. Layer, new, null object. Edit target. See, it took the iris one. I want the null too. Okay, apply. And we're good to go. I will rename this white. Good. So now that we have our tracks ready, which is like super important, I can actually apply masks and link them to those null objects and follow my eyes perfectly. So let's do that. I will go to Layer, New, Solid. We don't care, let's make it black, just okay. It doesn't really matter what color it is because we will use it as a track matte, but I like black, so press OK, and let's hide it for now. Perfect. So now what I want to do is actually mask the areas where I want my effects to take place. So I will zoom in here, select my pen tool, and draw a mask around the iris. Now I always use 3 points when it comes to the iris. One on the corner, go right below, click and hold, and then drag to do this curve. Go to the other corner, do the same thing, and then meet them. Cool. I will now adjust the mask to perfectly cover the iris. Now, the more specific you are with your selection and the more time you spend on it, the better it will look. I would now select my solid, press M twice. This brings up the mask properties. I will select the mask and hit Ctrl D to duplicate. Cool. I will select the mask and now we have two, and I will just drag it to the next eye, and since the perspective is exactly the same, the mask will work perfectly for both of them. Looks perfect actually, it's just cool. So now these masks fill the iris perfectly, but if the video was about to move, because this is a video after all, the mask will lose its selection. So what I want to do is take this tool, drag it to the iris track and let go. Now this solid and the masks are locked with the video. See? Pretty cool, huh? Now why did I do this and didn't I just put an adjustment layer and just do the same thing? The thing is that, as you will see, the way that we're going to apply VFX, we're going to use the clip, duplicate it, and do different things that wouldn't allow us to link them to the track. By having a solid with a mask that is linked to the track information allows us to have it, to use it actually as a track map. And what that is, let me just show you. If I go to the clip, hit Ctrl D to duplicate, put it right below the track mat and select track mat alpha mat. Here what that, I will just close everything. See, it's using the mask of that solid, and that specific selection only shows through the clip. I hope you can see now where we're going with this. We will use this information to apply effects only in this section of the clip, but because it's above the original clip, we will do some really cool stuff. So that said, let's get going. I will now select do another mask just for the white portion. So I will go to layer, new, solid, press OK. Let's rename them just to know what we're doing. So white, cool, and this one iris. I will close it off and I will once more mask around the white section this time. Now it's a good idea to do the same points, mask points that is, with me, because I've done this like many times and I found out that this type of mask selection works best when animating it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Cool. Now it was a bit hasty, so I will just quickly make it cool. Okay. So I will do the same thing. I will select the parent tool and link it to the white track this time, and it will do the same thing again. So we're cool. Now, here's the thing. When you blink, the mask needs to be animated. It's like super easy to do. So I will zoom in here and go to the point that I blink, right there. I will hit M once to bring up the mask path, and I will put a keyframe. And what this does, it basically locks the mask at that specific point or that specific keyframe. So I will select it right there and go backwards. Let's move 2 frames. Okay. Okay. Now, don't have to be like super perfect for this one because it's a tutorial, and actually animating masks takes a while, and the better you do it, the better it will look, but it also takes time, so we will have to adjust. Okay, it looks fine. I will move to the next one because this one's like lost. I will select the second mask and just do a quick fix. Okay. Okay. Cool. So that's done. Awesome. Okay, cool. Do the same. This might look tedious, but it's a very important step. So now that that's done, I will do the same thing for the iris mask. Right over there. Press M once, keyframe the position of the mask, and we'll be good to go in no time. Almost. There. Now again, when you do your clip, make sure you spend the time to do this right, because now I'm going way too fast. And since in this clip, I'm standing so close to the camera, it's not a good thing, because the closer you are to something, the more details you can see, right? So any bad thing regarding the masks will show very easy. So right there, go back. Looks okay actually. Yeah. See? Mistake. Now I always spend a lot of time doing these things, because I know it will pay off in the end and will look pretty good. Just fix the mask. Cool. And I think we're pretty much good to go. Awesome. Okay, so here's the thing, guys. We have our tracks and we also have our masks. Now we're ready to go to the good stuff. This one, I will zoom in here and let's first show how to fix the iris. So I duplicate my clip and I put it right below the iris mask, and I changed the track matte to follow that mask. So now any effect that I put on this clip will only show in this area. So let's have a look. I'll go to effects, color correction, and exposure. I'll change the exposure to positive 2.5. Cool. Now of course this looks pretty bad, so I will need to adjust the mask. So I will go to my mask, press double M to bring up the properties, and here's the cool trick. I'll change the feather to about 15 in this case, but I will also change the expansion to -10. See what it does? Pretty cool, huh? Look at the difference. This is a cool way to make things look a lot better. Always go in the mask properties and play around with the feather, but also the expansion. So I'll do the same for the other eye, and -10. And now we're in business. As you can see, we are already going somewhere, but I want to make the first VFX an elf version. So I will go select my clip again with the actual effects. I'll go to effect, color correction, hue and saturation. I will make the eyes green by adjusting the scroll wheel. So for a green one, I will put positive 16. Cool, but this is like too green, so I will desaturate it by 25, maybe 50. Cool, this looks nice. Now there's one thing though. As you can see, it looks pretty good, but it's lost a bit of depth, let's say. Now I always use a plugin to fix this from Red Giant, but you can also approximate it with a levels adjustment. So I will show both. I'll go to effects, Magic Suite, Mojo. Put this on 0, and this is what I want, the punch it. I will put this to 100. See what it does. If I zoom in here, off, on. It just puts some of the detail back in, but let's see how we can do this with a levels adjustment. I will go to color correction and levels. Let's get some space going. Cool. I will play with the mids right about there. Then the highlights and the mids again. Off, on. I think it looks pretty close personally, but I always like to use the Mojo one because it gives me what I want like super fast. So cool. This looks okay for now, but you know what? my clip is too bright, so I will select the original one and go to layer, new adjustment layer. Cool. I'll go to effects, color correction and curves, and I will just darken it a bit to make it look more dramatic than what it is. That looks cool. See, off, on. Now the eyes are popping out even more because our clip iris is above everything and it's not getting affected by anything else. That's the cool thing. So this looks cool for now, but I will move to actually play a bit with the white section to make it a bit darker so that the eyes pop out even more. So I will go to layer, new, and adjustment layer. I will put it below the iris and I will put the mask of the whites below as well. And I will change the track matte to alpha matte. So now this adjustment layer only affects the white section because the solids mask only affects the white sections. So I will change the blending mode to overlay and go to effects and curves. Now, without me having to do anything, you can see where it does, but once again the edges are like super harsh. So I will select my mask and press double M. I will change this to like 10, maybe 12.5, cool. Do the same for the other one, 12.5, cool. Now this affects the whites way too much, so I will go to the adjustment layer, select T, and this brings up the opacity and I will change it to like 50%. Cool. See? Off, on. Pretty cool, huh? So with that done, I think this version of the eyes is almost done, but I always look for mistakes or imperfections. And here's one. As you can see, because of the effect, we lost a bit of the detail of the actual pupil of the eye. So there's a really fast fix for this. I will create a new adjustment layer by hitting Ctrl, Alt and Y. And I will put it above everything else. Cool. I will then go to the masks, hold it, select the ellipse tool, go in here, press Shift and make a perfect circle. Cool. And I will position it exactly at that spot. Then I will select the mask, hit Ctrl D to duplicate, and I will take it to the left pupil. Find it all about there. Seems cool. I will change the mode to soft light. Cool. Of course now it doesn't do anything because it has no effects, so I will go to Effect, Curves, and it will do this. I will press double M and I will just feather it a bit, like 5 and probably 5. And it looks good. And check this out. If I turn it off and then on, you can see what it does. So it's pretty cool. Now, of course, I will have to link this to the iris track information because I want to follow it as the video goes along. So looks okay-ish. I think we have a problem with the first mask. Press double M. And I just will offset it by a bit there. Cool. Now, as we move back and I blink, I will need to delete this effect right about there. Let's go one frame back. Yep, awesome. So I will hit Ctrl-Shift-D to split the layer and I will delete everything before this and just one frame. So now, bop, pretty cool, huh? So let's preview this to see what's happening. Full resolution, so come on. And looks pretty decent for how fast I was going. So let's see. This looks okay. It looks decent and can be way better. But I'm just going to move on from now because this tutorial has more eyes to do. So I will pre-compose this pre-compose, press OK, and I just want to be honest with you guys. So after I've done this, I do color grade, right? Now, of course, I'm not going to do an entire color grading thing for this thing, so I'm just going to do like 2 steps and call it a day. So I will hit Ctrl D to duplicate. Now we'll go to Effects, Color Correction, and hit Tint. Then I will change the blending mode to Soft Light. This is crazy, so I will hit T and put it to like 35. And this is a cool way of doing like micro adjustments on your effects, because you don't have to go in. Let's say I had like 5 effects right here. I wouldn't have to go in and adjust its value. I would just hit T and change the opacity to like 90, 80% and see what happens. So this looks cool. Off, on. It just intensifies this section a bit more. And then in the original, I had some particles that were like graded to look like fire. So I think it's these ones. Let's drag and drop. Perfect. Actually, no. I will change the mode to screen so it removes all the blacks, and there we go. Let me see. Yeah, cool. So I will share them with you for free in like tomorrow or on Monday if I don't have time. Just make sure you come back to get this, because I think they really look pretty good. Now I'll have 2 versions, because this one is the graded one with fire to look like fire. I will also give you the raw file. So the first eye, it's done. I think it looks pretty cool. Just to show you the difference, I will copy the original, paste, and let's isolate. Original VFX. Pretty cool, huh? Now this was really easy, because really the only thing we did was change the iris color and exposure, as well as a bit to the white. The other ones are a bit more dramatic than this, so let's do some more VFX. I will go in here, I will just copy new composition. Okay, cool. Control V to paste, and I will delete all of the effects except the masks and the nulls. If I select source name, yep, we'll still have the names, so that's cool. And so now I don't have to do the work twice, like track it or mask it again. It's just this way you can just experiment doing different things on the same clip and getting to know what works and what doesn't. So for this one, I want to do the dark Witcher effect. So let's see how to do that. I will again start from the iris, because it's like the most interesting part, I think. So I will hit Control D to the clip to duplicate it, put it below the iris and change the track matte to alpha matte. Awesome. I will go to Effects, Color Correction and Exposure. And if I didn't say that before, exposure is a really cool way to add brightness or decrease brightness from your shot. So 2.5 seemed to work pretty cool last time, so awesome. Now for the Witcher effect, and specifically the dark Witcher, I want the eyes to have that gray, basically no color. So I will go to Effects, Color Correction and Tint. See? Looks cool, huh? And then I will just put some contrast detail back again. Let's pull it, Mojo. Now remember, if you don't have this, it's okay. I just find it really fast and it gives me pretty cool results. Looks cool. Maybe do like 2.75. Cool. Now for the Witcher, I changed the actual pupil to a cross shape, and I know for those that are actual fans of the Witcher game series, which was where this effect was actually inspired from, I know that the Witcher has like a snake type of iris, but I just thought it looked cooler with a cross. So for this one, I have, where is it? Let me go to my file. I have a cross example where basically I took a solid and I just make a mask in the shape of a cross. Now, if you want this, I can like give it to you, but I think it's easier if you just, let's put it here, layer, new, solid, make it white. Okay, okay. Just take a print screen of this right here. Put your video in full screen and hit print screen on the keyboard if you want to have this specific one. I think it's easier than just doing a whole link thing just for a single image. So I will select my cross and drop it in. Cool. Now of course this looks like nothing really. So what I want to do is put the cross as an iris. So I will use the iris mask for the cross as well. So I will select the mask, hit Ctrl D to duplicate, put it above, and change the track matte to alpha matte. And I will, no, that's the mask, Ctrl Z. I will select the cross and reposition it. Now, of course, this is like gigantic, so I will hit S, change the scale to 20. Looks okay. So I will center the cross right about there, I guess. Looks okay. Now, here's what I want you to take from this, guys. When you put like layers or effects, in this case just a 2D pic, it doesn't look good because I haven't done anything to it, right? So take the time to think what's wrong with this. For example, one is the way the cross interacts with the light of the clip is completely wrong. So I will change the blending mode, soft light. What this does is it keeps the blacks, but it allows everything that's basically white go through. So now it actually looks like it's in the eye, right? But that's not enough. So I will select the cross, go to effects, mate, simple choker, because for me right now the cross is not slim enough. So I will change the choke mate to like 20. Okay, play with the position again. Cool. And another thing is, it looks way too crisp for something that's supposedly in the eye, right? So I will go to effects, blur, and lens blur. Now remember the cross was like this big, right? So all these small values need to also get higher because of the size of the thing. So let's change this to like 15. Way better. Actually, 12.5. Cool. Let's close this one. Let's see before and after. Without the effects and with the effects. See, it looks way better than this. And always keep this in mind. Try to think of ways to enhance your effects by thinking, maybe if it had this one and maybe if it had the other thing, it might look good. Try it and see what happens. For example, I always spend like an hour to 2 hours just messing around things and see if it can make something look cooler. So that's it. That looks pretty good, but I need to link the cross to the track information, in this case the iris, because I wanted to follow the thing. And since the cross is an actual layer, an actual solid, let's say, it needs to be linked to something in order to follow it. So this looks pretty good. So I will now select both the mask and the cross and duplicate them by hitting Ctrl D. I will then select the cross only and I will take it to the other eye. Zoom in, try to center the thing. So now that I have both ready, I will move on and adjust the brightness of the white area of the eye, because this is way too bright for a dark version. Actually, I will reposition this right about there. looks better. Cool. So I'll create a new adjustment layer, new adjustment layer. And I will put it right below the white mask. Alpha matte, and we're ready to go. Effects and select curves. This is exactly the same thing we did for the first version. I'll change the blending mode to overlay. This again is like too much, but we're gonna mess around to see what we can do with it. So I will go to effects, color correction and tint. Actually, color balance. Let's have a look. I will go to the dark values and I will change the green mode to like plus minus actually 10. This is pretty cool, guys. See what it does? It actually changed it to a purple looking thing. And I use this a lot during the teaser. So this looks okay, but I will change the opacity to like 75. Cool. But I want the purple thing to pop out more. So I will go back to the effects, go to effect, color correction and hue and saturation. And I will push everything up to like plus 25. Plus 55 and let's call it that. Okay, cool. Now, as you can see, this eye, the outer section is a bit darker than this one. So I will go to the iris mask for the eye effect. Now press M twice, zoom in back and change the mask expansion of the second mask to like minus 12.5. That's too much, minus 11. Cool. And this one, minus 9. Now they're way more balanced than before. So cool, close this. And we're getting there. But since this version is a dark version, the outer section of the eyes needs to also be darker. So here's how I'm gonna do that. I will go to layer, new, adjustment layer. I put it below everything. Right there. I'll change the blending mode to soft light. Now I will select an effect, color correction and curves. See what I did? I will go to effects, color correction and tint. This looks cool. Now I will take my pen tool and draw a mask shape around the eyes, but I want to subtract the actual eye. So here's how I do it. There. And now I will deselect the eye, kinda. That's it. Cool. Now of course this looks ridiculous, so I will press N twice to bring up the mask properties. I will change the feather value to like 50, 100. Here's like a good rule of thumb: the closer your subject is to the camera or your effect, let's say, usually the feathering value will be high as well. So for this case I will actually put it to 150. Looks okay-ish, let's say. Let's play around with the mask a bit. Okay, we're getting somewhere. That looks cool, I think. So I will do another mask for the other eye. And we should be good to go. I will do the same feathering values for this one. 150. Cool. Now the interesting thing is that this side is way brighter than that side, so here's what I want to do. Let's actually put to overlay, because I think we will have better results. Almost. Here's the thing, I'll hit Ctrl D to duplicate the adjustment layer. I will hit T in the first one and put it to like 75. Looks okay. I will put to the second one, press M and delete the left mask. Cool. I will hit T and put it to like 50. Now the darkness of the both eyes is way more balanced, and I did this because this side was way brighter. So let's close this. It looks good, and now we'll select both of them and link them to the white track to follow my eyes. Cool. I think it looks really cool. Let's play a couple of frames to see what's up. I think it looks pretty good. Yep. Now the eyes are a bit way too bright for my taste actually, so I will go back to the clip and change it to like 2.5. Cool. I will pre-compose everything again, just to do, and I will hit Ctrl D to duplicate, go to Effects, Tint, and put it to Soft Light. Hit T, put like 35 again. Cool. And I will just drag and drop the... Actually, you know what? I will just copy paste them. It's easier that way. Ctrl V. There we go. That's it. Looks pretty good. But you know what? It needs a couple of things because I think it looks way too red, let's say. So I will go here and Ctrl Alt Y for a new adjustment layer. Go Effects, Color Correction, and Tint. I put it like 25%. And change the opacity to like 50. See? This looks dark and awesome. Pretty good. Cool. Once more, let's see the original control thing. Pretty cool, huh? So this was the Witcher effect. Now I would still play around a bit with the feathering of the iris, but I think it looks pretty good. So let's move on to the next one. I will go to the light elf composition and just copy everything. Composition, new, okay, Ctrl V. And once more, I will delete all of the effects. Cool. So for this version, I'm gonna go with the vampire eyes. Now I can do all the eye versions that you saw on the teaser, so I will do 4, but everything else is basically a combination of these 4. So everything, each one of those eye versions in this tutorial offer something slightly different, so you can play around and like combine different things of each version to come up with your own ones. So for this one, we'll go for the vampire, the big bright red eyes of death. Sure. So I will go to my clip, hit Ctrl D to duplicate, put below the iris, and yes, change the trackman to alpha matte. I'll go to Effects, Color Correction, and Exposure. 2.5 seems to always work, so I'll stick to that. I will go to Effects. Here's the interesting thing. I want to make a red eye iris, basically. Now, the color red is an interesting one because it's really hard to pull off compared to everything else. If you remember, at the first version, we had the elf's eyes, and I just tweaked, let's go see it actually. I just tweaked the scroll wheel of the hue and saturation effect to come up with a green eye, and that was it. But for the red ones, it's a bit trickier than that. So here's how I pull it off. I'll go to Effects, Color Correction, and change to color. I will select one of those brown values, and I will change the hue to like 100%. This looks okay, but as you can see, it's like desaturated, so we will pull the saturation back up. So Effects, Color Correction, Hue and Saturation. This will be like crazy, like plus 50 at least. Actually quite on spot. 60? No. As you can see, when you push a value to like more than its limit, it starts clipping the color. So 50 is like right on spot. So it looks cool and deadly. So the last thing is to pull up some of the... Actually, you know what? Let's do it with the levels adjustment. Make some space. I'm just messing around, trying to find a cool value. Off, on. That looks decent. Let's change it like 45. It's like too intense. Cool. So the eyes are ready, and I'll just copy paste the pupil adjustment. Cool. Okay, so now I will mess around with the white section and the dark section. Actually, for the dark section, let's just copy paste this one because it's way faster than me doing the same thing again. Change it to... Actually, no, I just wanted to track the white section. Cool. Let's put like 50. Cool. I will create a new adjustment layer. I will put it right below the white mask, actually. That's cool. And change the track matte to alpha matte. Cool. So I will go to effects, color correction, and curves. This is way too crazy, so I will press T for opacity and put like 50. Cool. Now I want this time around to have the outer section of the white really red. So if you remember on the Witcher effect, if I go to the, we did a color balance and a hue and saturation. So let's do that again. Effect, color correction, color balance. I'll go to the shadow red, push that like 25. Let's go to the blues and do it like plus 10, minus 10. We're getting crazy. Do the same for the reds, like plus 25. And this should do the trick. I will go to effects, color correction, hue and saturation. Plus 50. That's not plus 50. That's okay-ish, but a bit too much. So let's see how to fix this. That looks okay, I think. Let's do the opacity up to like 75 and then decrease the effect and this one. Let's put it back to 50. I don't want it to be like super crazy, so see, I think that's good. I will adjust the mask of the right eye once more to like minus 11. Better. Okay, cool. So let's see the original. I think it looks pretty cool. So I will pre-compose at this point and just do a very fast color grade, tint, soft light, T, 50%. Okay, Control Alt Y, effect, color correction, tint again, why not, 25. Cool. Actually, I will go back inside now and I will go to the eye effects and I will push it back up to like 55. Because at the color grade I desaturated. So let's go back. I think that looks like super cool. So I'll just copy paste the particles, Control V. There we go. Let's actually change this one to like super high. How cool is that? Let's see the original. Control V. And isolate. Original vampire. That looks pretty good, but maybe it's actually too dark. Let's change it to 50. That's it. Let's move on to the last one. So for the final one, I want to do the Undead version, which is a bit more interesting, I think, because I really had to figure out how to do the eyes look empty, but at the same time not fake. So let's see how I did this. I will once more start with the iris. So Control D on the main comp, put below the iris mask, and change the track to alpha matte. Cool. Zoom in. I will go to effects, color correction, and exposure. Now I will do pretty much the same thing, only with a final twist. So 75, effect, color correction, and tint, effect, color correction. Actually, I will do my version 0 and 100. Cool. Now, here's the thing. They look cool, but it's like the version of The Witcher, but I want them to look empty. So what I want to do is balance out the dark parts of the eye and the white part. So here's how I do this. Effect, color correction, and curves. Now I increase the dark part there and decrease the white part. Just enough. See? I think it looks pretty good. Let's do it just a tiny bit more. And a tiny bit more too. Cool. I want to take it any further because we will start to lose a lot of detail. Now, the edges of the iris are way too dark. So I will hit double M on the mask and play around with the feathering. So let's say 25, 25, like -15. Now, Control Z. I think actually they look quite good like this, so I'm just gonna leave them like that. So now I want to play around with the white section. Here's the thing. The whites are now more detailed than the actual iris, so I will actually do the same thing by layer, new adjustment layer, put before the white mask, alpha matte. Cool. So now I will try to balance the white section and the dark section once more. So I'll go to Effects, Curves, change the blending mode to Overlay. Cool. Let's hit Teeth and put to like 50%. Okay. And I will try to do the same thing and see what happens. It's a little too dark. Effect, color correction, tint. Yeah, I mean it's subtle, but it does the job. Actually, I'll go here, press M twice, and bring it to like -12.5. Nah. Cool, it looks okay, but now for an undead person, let's say, the skin tones are way too saturated, so I'll go and do tint to more like 50%. Cool. Now I only need the dark parts around the eye to be exaggerated, to look like something is really messed up. So I will go to The Witcher and just Control C to copy and then paste. Link them to the track. Cool. Now, this looks cool, but I want the effect to be even more enhanced, so I will cramp up these values. Right there. Cool. Now we'll actually mess up the mask a bit too. Cool. This one. Awesome. This looks super cool. So, at this point, I will pre-compose everything and grade it to look more dark. So I will hit Ctrl D to duplicate, Effect, Tint, and Soft Light. Hit T, put like 50. But let's do an extra step. Hit Ctrl Alt Y for a new adjustment layer. Effect, Color Correction, and Curves. I will boost the light while at the same time keeping the shadows and the highlights at the same level. Off, on, off, on. This looks okay, but let's try to make it even more desaturated. 50%. That's closer to what I did to the original. So let's bring in the particles. Control V, paste. Yeah. Actually, I will make a curves adjustment in this one as well, because as you can see, if I turn it off and on, it has some mids that I want gone, basically. So put this down, this one up, like that. Cool. I think this looks pretty awesome and pretty much undead. So this is how I did this. Now, let me see this off. on, off. Yeah, looks cool, but because of this effect, it brings back some of the detail of the iris, so I will go back in and make it even more empty, I guess you can say. Cool. Let's see what happens. Control C, Control. Okay, now they're too bright, so exposure 2.5. 2. Cool, let's see what happens. Yep, that's it. So this is the Undead version of the effect, guys. Now, we pretty much done 4 versions of the fantasy eyes. Let's have a look. Light Elf, Dark Witcher, Vampire, and the Undead. Now, at the VFX teaser, I did like many versions, but here's the thing. All those versions that we did in this tutorial, 1, 2, 3, and 4, everything else is basically a combination of those 4. So each one of those gave us something new to work on. So you can actually like cross do many of the effects that we did in this ones and like try to figure out like new eyes, let's say. So experiment and have fun. Now, before we go, as I told you at the beginning, I have to show you a concept art and how I will apply some of the effects I saw here to that concept. So there we go, drag and drop. Cool. Now, let me zoom in here. Half, no, full. Cool. This is a new lightsaber module that I've been working on. It's like super detailed. Has the main arc together with lightning and like displacement heat maps, which I think make it look pretty cool. And it's still on concept mode, but I'm really close. And I know many of you have been waiting for the lightsaber tutorial, and it's coming, both the classic one and this new one that's been inspired by the Force Awakens trailer. That movie's gonna be awesome, man. I can't wait. But until then, this is what I've been working on, and as you can see, the eyes have VFX on it, and this is what I was talking about at the beginning, that this effect will work up until the point that your camera can't catch detail of your actor's eyes. Now in this case, my eyes are barely visible to the camera. This side, it's cool because it has the light source, and the eyes, okay, but this one, it's on the dark side. It barely has any detail in it, and this was shot with a 70D. Now, if you have a 4K camera, then you're pretty lucky because the resolution would actually give you a lot of way in making eye VFX, but work with what you have, right? So let's see how I made these eyes look like this in this case. Now, you don't have always to do eye VFX. It's especially useful when you do color grading, and when you have dark eyes, any adjustment of the shadows kills them like instantly. So you have to like bring them up compared to the entire composition. But yeah, in this case, I just thought that looked cool due to the lightsaber. So let's see how I did it. I will bring up the raw file. Let's turn this off. So this is straight up from the Canon 70D without the green screen. So let's zoom in. Once more, I have to be honest, this one has a sharpening filter and an HDR pass. So that's all it has. I'll zoom in here. See, there is detail. It's not like super dark, but it's very limited. So let's see how I did what I did. Let's delete this. I will hit Ctrl D to copy, and I will go like super fast and make my 3-point selection for the iris. Cool. Hit M, Ctrl D, the mask, and put it to the other eye, right there. Adjust the mask. Looks okay. Okay, I will go to effects, color correction and exposure. Where's exposure? Cool, there we go. Let's put like +2. 1.75. Okay, close the mask. Hit M twice. Play with the feather value. Now, as you can see, because I'm so far away from the camera, my feather values are way smaller compared to the other example. So this looks okay. We'll go to effect, color correction and tint. Effect. Bring up some of the contrast and not lose the value of the pupil. There we go. Looks okay. This time I will actually play with the actual blending mode of the comp, so let's put it on screen. Control Z, Control Shift Z for back and forward. This looks cool. Let's pump up the value. This looks good. I will play around with the settings a bit more, but you can get the general idea. I pretty much did the same thing, just way quicker to save some time. So let's have a look at the concept and this version. As you can see, they're pretty close. This one has light effects to include the lightsaber light. That's why it looks a bit bluish. But this is what I did basically. And if you color grade this, let's see, Control Alt Y, Effect, Color Correction, Levels. Just a quick adjustment to see what's up. Let's make it a bit darker. There we go. See? Looks cool. This is just a very quick example to see what happens when your subject moves further away from the camera. If you have detail, you can still pull off this effect. Okay, so that's a wrap. Let me know if you have any questions in the comment section below, and actually let me know what you thought of this tutorial. My name is Chris Connor, and make sure you subscribe for more VFX stuff. This is Creatrix.